Okay. Hello, everyone. I don't know if anyone's here yet, but hello. Welcome to the Crown of Feathers live show discussion. These are very, very beautiful covers. Love this. And yeah, we're going to talk about Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palpretto. And we're going to go non-spoiler first, and then we'll go into spoiler chat. I'll just put non-spoiler. There we go. Okay, so I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Lana from Lauren Lullabies. Her channel is linked in the description. Please go check her out. She is my fellow Aussie New Zealand person. Please go check out her channel. She is lovely, as you will see from this live show. So thank you, Lana, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
I feel very privileged.
The honor is all mine. Hello, Anita. Hello. Thank you for coming. Okay, let's start with ratings. What did you rate it?
I rated it a 4 out of 4.5.
4.5.
I really liked it.
I think a lot of us did 4.5 or 4. And the guys in the chat, let me know what you rated it. Anita said she rated it 4. So it might be like the general consensus. So yeah, 4.5. It was really good. And like, it's a YA fantasy. And I'm pretty surprised because of the whole like world building and world history. It seems very adult fantasy, like the intricacy and like the detail that it goes to.
Mm-hmm. And but the like, history and yeah.
And like, but obviously you can see that it's YA because the characters are kind of like, they're still kind of YA based. There's not, at least for me, I didn't feel like they were Daevabad level intricate characters.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same as well?
I feel exactly the same. Like, there were, like, if it wasn't for the characters though, I would have thought it was like an older fantasy. It was because like I said, like the intricacies, and you said the world building and the stories interwoven into stories and the history in the past, and I thought it was so well done. It was just so fun to read.
Yeah. For those of you who are here for this non-spoiler chat and doesn't know what Crown of Feathers is, it is a young adult fantasy that follows basically 3 perspectives, but we're really following this girl who is, I think, Veronica, and she is a animage who is a magical person that can communicate with animals. And animages can become phoenix riders, and phoenix riders basically bond with their phoenix, and they can kind of communicate through their minds. And like the phoenixes, because they bond with humans, they get like human level intelligence and vice versa. So she wants to become a phoenix rider. So she has her sister. Oh my God, what is her name?
Val.
That's right, Val. Yeah. So her sister Val finds 2 phoenix eggs, and one of them hatches for Veronica, and she bonds with that phoenix. And then she goes and in search of the Phoenix Riders. And our other 2 perspectives, one of them is a soldier for the opposite. So there's a war going on, and he's on the, I guess, opposite side to the animages that are being hunted down. And then we have Tristan. I think that's his name. I forgot because it's been a while. But our other perspective is Tristan, who is actually a rebellion, like part of the rebellion Phoenix Rider group that are trying to form their army to fight back the people that are killing off animages. So that is essentially the non-spoiler synopsis for Crown of Feathers. It is very, very intriguing, like we said, with the world building and the world history, because there is this war that's going on, the Blood War. We go back in time as well to like flashbacks to Phoenix Riders in the past, and it's really, really cool. It's kind of like, I know a lot of people when they read Wheel of Time, how they say like, the wheel of time turns and history repeats itself. It's kind of like that vibe in this, where like history repeats itself, and we see the history through actually letters. There's like letters here that tell you, not letters. They sometimes they're letters, and sometimes they're like passages from history, something like that, and that gives us a glimpse into the past, and like I said, with the world history and the world building as well. Because like with YA, there's a lot of info dump, but this author really kind of interwove that info dump through these letters as well. So it was really, really, it was really cool for that.
100%.
Tropes didn't bother me. I had pacing issues in the middle. That's the only reason I gave 4 and 5. I didn't actually have any pacing issues. Did you have any, Lana?
I don't know at what point. Like for me, it was, I think, just because I was so focused on everyone that was sick in my house and playing nurse. But it hit a certain point in the book, and I just couldn't put it down. I just in a day, I read the rest of it.
I felt like that was like the latter half.
Yeah. I think it wasn't even halfway that I was just like, okay, this is amazing. And then just kept reading it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I might know what that halfway, like that point was, but I think that's spoiler territory, so I won't go into it. But yeah, I think for me at least, the pacing was actually pretty consistent, because there was a build up, and then obviously the end is kind of like explosive because the build up and then obviously the payoff after that. So I didn't really have pacing issues, but that's unfortunately for you, Anita. I'm sorry. What was the pacing issue for you, Anita? Like, what was the problem in the middle for you? Yeah. I actually really, that's like my favorite thing with fantasy, learning about the world and the history. I think it's so interesting. But then like in our real life history, I just think it's really boring. But then in fantasy worlds, I think it's so interesting because even the politics of it is so interesting. But then here in our real life politics, I'm like, please, no. Like one ear and out the other. Like I can't. I love world history. Not real life one, fantasy ones.
Yeah, I'm the same. But I feel like, especially as like getting older, like history it depends who's telling it. Whereas in fantasy, it's like, this is the history, this is how it is. But like, because what I was brought up knowing about like America, I've had Americans educate me and be like, no, that's not right. And vice versa about New Zealand and Australia. They're like, oh, so blah, 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 blah about like what happened in like colonial like Australia. I'm like, nope, where are you getting your information? That's wrong. They're like, that's what we're taught at school. I'm just like, oh, your school's wrong. So I'm like, I don't know. History I just take with a grain of salt at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. That is very, very true. It can be said also with like with fantasy, because you know we have the unreliable narrator trope thing, and also with this, like, you know, with the letters and those two characters that we look at in those letters, because they both have different sides of the story, and we don't really know what actually happened. So I cannot wait to find more about that in like the second book onwards, because that's really, really interesting. I know, that's really interesting. That end epilogue though, like the end, like the last chapter following one of like a whole new different character. Because I said there's 3 main perspectives, but then the last chapter we follow something completely different, and that's so cool. I will say though, I did kind of predict that. But like I didn't. Oh, this is like spoiler territory. We'll discuss that later. But I didn't like a certain detail about it, but I predicted like the general thing. Yeah, very vague. Hey, Abby. I know you gave it 4.5 stars too. Yeah, there you go. 4.25, 4.5. Yeah, it's just I'm very like surprised with how much I liked it, because with like other YA fantasy, I feel, I don't know, like no shade to like any other like YA fantasy books. Just like personally for me, I feel after I've read quite a bit of adult fantasy, I feel like YA doesn't have that bit of depth that I like to it. Like today I just finished Blood and Honey and I feel like that depth was lacking and I wasn't enjoying it as much. But with this, I feel like I am enjoying it thoroughly, even though it's a YA fantasy.
Yeah. It's like a good middle ground for like people coming out of like YA fantasy, moving into adult. And because I've been reading like since the Shelf Space readathon, I've been reading a lot of adult fantasy. And I was like, I was a bit worried going back to YA. I was just like, oh no, I'm like, my bar is set up here now. But yeah, it's like a nice medium thing.
Yeah, definitely recommend it if like someone is looking to go to adult fantasy. This would be a good place to start because it's kind of like the middle ground, like you said. Generally, characters in YA are annoying, but characters in the book are very good. Yeah. They have a lot of depth. I'm guessing you're talking about the characters in this, I think. But these characters do have a lot of depth, but just not a lot as I would like. But they still had like, they were all very distinct and their character motivations are like on point. So I was happy with that. They were really good. But the Phoenixes were my favorite. I love how they all have personalities. And Tristan's Phoenix. I forgot his name, but he had
Rex.
I think
Rex
it's
or something like
Rex.
that.
Could be.
Every time I saw Rex, I just remember T-Rex. Like that's how I remembered it in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Rex.
Okay, it is Rex. Oh, there it is. Yeah, Rex. He had such a sassy personality. So cute. So cute. Yeah.
Which I also liked because I know, especially in YA, like if there is any kind of like human animal bonding, they have very similar personalities. Whereas in this, I found that Tristan and Rex, like, yes, kind of there was opposite. Like a yeah. Like when you first meet Tristan, like he's like nice, but when he has his first encounter with Veronica, you're like, oh, he's a bit of a dick. And so like it kind of made sense that Rex was like his, but then when as you get to know him, like you're like, huh, they're not at all the same.
Yeah. Tristan's a softie. I think he was just very angry, and Veronica kind of brought out that softer side of him.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. Yeah. I think one of my favorite tropes is girl dressing as boy to like get into something. That is my favorite, and this one has it, and I'm so good. It's so cool that is how it went. I don't know. I think there was a bit of like weirdness with like Veronica and Tristan, like at the peak point of their relationship, but she is still like, doing the whole thing. I felt like that was a bit weird, but I got over it.
Like when you say weird, what do you like mean? Because like I sort of got like a feeling about it too, but I think my feeling might be a bit different to yours. That's why I'm just wondering.
I don't know.
Because they were definitely weird with each other. Like there was that like sort of tension sort of.
Yeah, there was tension with them. But because I feel it's a spoiler. We'll get into it in the spoiler chat. Because then we can properly talk about it. Because I'm afraid of spoiling something, so I don't want to do that. Hey, Ariel.
Hey, Ariel.
Thank you for joining us. Okay. What else can we say non-spoiler? It's a really good YA fantasy, like a solid, I feel like it's kind of like almost top tier YA fantasy so far with the first book. I don't know about the rest, but I really liked the first book. So I would highly recommend you check it out.
Same.
The writing style is very easy, and obviously what I said with the whole letters and like mixed media kind of thing. So it's very, very fast paced. A lot of 3 different perspectives. It's great. So let's go with the spoiler chat. So if you haven't read the book, goodbye.
Bye.
Hear about the spoilers. Stick around. Okay. First things first. Did you expect that Phoenix to die?
No.
I didn't either. I was like, what is this?
I was like, how did
this is YA? Like, what is this? I remember putting an orange tab because I was so angry. Yes, I was so angry. What is this? I was shocked. I literally wrote, what the fuck? Because I was shocked. It was so heartbreaking. I was like, what is this? I did not expect this.
Same. And even though I'm like, yeah, Phoenixes rise from the ashes, I was like, what was the point? Like, I'm invested in this beautiful being, and then just, nah, bye.
Yeah. Oh, I will say though, actually, one tiny flaw with the whole character motivation thing is Val. So obviously we find out that Val is oh my god, a Val. Oh my god, what is her name?
I don't know. I couldn't say it, so just kind of glossed over it.
I know her name. I just can't like pick it. Well, about Kira. Where's the last chapter?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's a Valkyra. So we find out that Val is a Valkyra. And how she kind of told Veronica, I feel like there was a shift in her character a little bit. Because she went from like Val, who is like, need to protect my sister at all costs, need to do the things that she doesn't want to do. I'm going to do it. Let me kill the freaking Phoenix because she was jealous. And then afterwards, when she revealed herself as a Valkyra, she was kind of remorseful for all that. For me, it kind of felt like a bit of inconsistency where there's like a shift, just like a little bit. I don't know. I just got that feeling. I was like, that was a bit of a shift from how she was. And then she kind of like, we saw a little bit of a softer side to her after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well,
yeah. I think it, like, for me, I felt like when she did get, like, start feeling remorse, like, about that and stuff, I was like, I can kind of get that because I guess she wants her, like, sister / niece to, like...
It is her niece. That's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To, like, be there with her, and she wants to protect her, and she made a promise and everything. So I can see like why she was the way she was the whole way through and why she might feel some guilt, but I think it was just the way that it was presented. I was a bit like
also, do you feel like the ending like wrapped up a little bit too fast? Okay, because I felt that as well, because like the whole like I don't know if it's the commander or whatever of the whole Phoenix, right? He was like, yeah, all right, take it, you can go train, whatever. It was kind of like there was no battle for it, but then also like I really liked how everyone came to like vouch for her.
Yes, I loved that they vouched for her, but him just taking it after like being portrayed as this like a big staunch like we do this for a reason and blah blah blah, and then he just took it. I was like, I feel like he would have at least had like a little bit, like just
I know obviously he's gonna like allow her, but just like, you know, a little bit of push. Not just give in immediately. I'm so picky. I really like this book, but it's just like, you know, many things that I was like, So with the thing that I said, that I predicted a little bit, because of the whole Valkyra and her sister, I think it's like Fiora? Feronia. So with the whole like Valkyra and Feronia, and also them being said like how Phoenix rise from the ashes, and sometimes like humans that are bonded with phoenixes can do that as well. But like before that, I thought that their like souls were reincarnated to Val and Veronica. So I thought Val was basically a Valkyra, but not like herself.
Yeah, not actually her.
Just has, like, the essence. So I kind of predicted that, but then when she revealed she was actually a Valkyra, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
like her actually coming back as her.
Yeah, and I didn't see how Veronica was her niece as well. That was a very good surprise.
Yeah.
I do like the whole like sister relationship and that, so I'm excited to see more of that. Like especially Valkyra and Feronia. I want to see the whole story because we only got like snippets of it really. So I want to see the whole story if that's possible.
Yeah, I hope so because we did only get snippets of it, and that was like towards the end of everything happening, towards the end of the war and like their deaths.
Yeah.
I loved that twist too.
I actually predicted this when she introduced herself as like Trix and stuff, and then when she said that she has been captured for like I think 6 or 8 years, I was like, oh, maybe this is the grandmother and she didn't really die, because if Val can poison and kill a phoenix, she won't have a problem lying about the grandmother. So I actually predicted Trix being the grandmother. So
yeah,
like good. Like I wasn't like, oh, so I was right. It was just like, oh, cool. You know, it was a good twist.
Yeah, I love being right, and I also love being wrong. So either or, it's a win.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm the person that doesn't like resurrection tropes, but this was like legit resurrection, like from the ashes phoenix kind of thing. So I didn't mind that because obviously they're bonded with phoenixes and stuff like that. I'm sorry to put you in this position, but I actually have to just go to the toilet really, really quick. So
okay.
Just BRB.
Hi all. Why am I such an awkward human? Only time I've been... Errol, do you mean the resurrection trope? Because if so, yes, I agree. Because I just feel like the resurrection trope has been done bad too many times. But in this, I didn't expect her to actually be as that said. This is now my channel. Yes, Abby, yes. I run this. Yeah. I really want to hear what... Not my favorite trope is overused. Not my favorite trope, it's overused, but it was done so well here. I agree. I 100% agree. I'm not like a huge fan of reincarnation unless it's an animal, because animals should just always be reincarnated because they're amazing. But people, mostly meh. But this one was done so well, and I did not expect it to be actually her. And done that way, like she has the same ability as the Phoenix. We need to talk about Sev. Yes, we do. I think Sev was only at the start. I was a bit bored of Sev. I was just like, no, I just want to get to like the next part. But the more that we learn about him and the more that he does, especially once he accepts like his role in Trix's grand plan. It's just so much cooler, and his relationship with, what's his name? What's the other servant dude's name? I should have tabbed this, but I just read through it way too quickly. I'm waiting for someone to like jot down the other guy's name. Cade. Yes, thank you. I seriously hope Cade isn't dead. I was so sad. I was like, again, such a waste. And he was so cool. And his heart was in the right place, and he was just a good dude. And I did not want him to die. So I hope he's still out there. And they'd only just like sort of... What do you guys think about the relationship between Cade and Sev? Did you see that happening? Did you like it? Did it happen the way you wanted it to? Or... So if we're talking about Sev and Cade.
Right. I'm sorry. Remember how I said I was watching Love Island all day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot to pee, so I'm really sorry. TMI to everyone, but yeah, I'm really sorry. Okay. Yes, this is the Lana's channel now. Yes, it is. It is always Lana's channel. Okay. 7 Cade, how cool was it? I don't know if you read Red Rising, but how cool is it that Sev was called Severo? I love Severo from Red Rising. And Sev,
I haven't read that yet.
You should. It's so freaking good. At least like my favorite is Severo from Red Rising, and he's a scrappy little dude, and I love him so much. And yeah, with Cade and Sev, I really liked how that relationship progressed as well. And Cade was kind of like that grumpy dude that like kind of softened after a little bit. And I don't know if he's dead or not. I mean, we haven't seen the body, so I'm assuming he's not dead. There we go. Anita agrees with me. We don't see a body, not dead. That's the rule. That's my rule too. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy his storyline a lot. I didn't like him at first because he was kind of like me. But I liked his progression and how he kind of stepped up and not dishonor his parents' memory and their sacrifice. And that was really good. Reluctant hero. Yep. Don't think Katie said me either. Yep. I mean, we hope. We hope.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I remember Abby talking to me about that. But I liked to see that progression. It was kind of like very, very slow burn, at least. Because Cade was very grumpy and Sev had his own problem.
Mm-hmm. I also liked that Cade knew of him before like they even spoke. Like he knew who he was. So he already had this idea. And then to meet him and have him be this self-absorbed person that didn't care about anyone, I was just like, that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah. I don't know. This book was just really surprised me.
Yeah, same.
It really, really surprised me, especially with the world history and world building. That was like the coolest thing, finding out about like the whole, because at the back here it tells you the whole line of Phoenix Rider, right from like the beginning with the gods, with Aksura and Nyx, I think the name.
Nyx or Nox.
Yeah. Oh, it could be Nox actually, because it's darkness, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the only reason my head went there.
And it's just so cool just to see the whole line of like Phoenix Rider, the first Phoenix Rider, and how she had like her what is the name? Like her, not her mate, but like her companion person. And I really like how Valkyra's phoenix kind of just roams around the world and doesn't bond with anyone. And you know how like in that battle scene she kind of just disappeared, and Valkyra is going to that tower where no one goes to. I think Aura Nova. That's right. So because Valkyra is going there with one phoenix egg. And I don't know if she's going to bond with the phoenix egg or she is going to bond again with her old phoenix that's roaming around the world. Yeah, I'm excited to see that. What like where so let's just like go into like I think so because they were saying how like this phoenix is like very very old.
Very
She
old,
hasn't
yeah.
bonded to anyone. She hasn't. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't. I don't know. I feel like because she hasn't bonded with anyone and she's really really old and she kind of has that Valkyria personality, where she's just a fine raging bitch queen, you know, like about.
Yeah.
Like
I thought that too.
It feels that way. Val was there. That's true. Wait. Yeah. No, maybe they didn't sense each other because you know how Veronica and her phoenix, when the phoenix died, she kind of closed herself off to it. Maybe Val did the same thing and she didn't feel anything because obviously it's been, what, 18 years? I think that she hasn't seen her phoenix. So maybe that bond is kind of like really far apart and like not properly developed because they've been apart for so long. They didn't sense each other. I mean, Veronica didn't sense that her phoenix was alive. That was like, what, a couple of months of bonding? This was 18 years of not bonding. So maybe that can happen. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Again, could be wrong.
Yeah, and the like one of the main reasons that I thought it would be Val's is just because of the way it's been written. Like everyone that's mentioned is tied into some other character or some other like plot line somewhere. So I was like, this Phoenix has to fit in here somewhere. It was mentioned too many times to be like a inconsequential side piece.
Or it could be like a random Phoenix, but because Val hasn't gotten a Phoenix yet, maybe she's the one to crack this Phoenix and bond with her. It could be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or maybe a new character entirely.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good one.
They did mention at one point, didn't they? About her being unworthy or something?
Something like that. I think, yeah. I think the whole, like how she was wanted for murder because she killed the queen, then murdered the king. Am I right? And she was hated for murdering the queen, but she was just giving out justice.
Yeah.
I'm just very curious about her backstory because it's kind of really hazy. Obviously, we don't get to know about it that much. And we've only been given snippets, and we don't have Feronia's side because she was just like with the council, and obviously I feel like she would side with her sister. So what things were being said to her, what lies were said to her for her to side with the council instead of her sister.
Yeah. I agree. And the council's always got ulterior motives.
Yeah.
Val is definitely a complex and interesting character. But when she was showing Veronica like the past and stuff and like the ending of how she shot her sister. And like throughout the book, you get a sense that they love each other, even though they're on opposite sides of the war, they still love each other.
Yeah.
And then for like this person who's kind of built up as like kind of the bad guy, to like for her to just be like, why did it have to be my arrow that killed my sister? And I was just like, oh.
It feels like kind of fated that she would kill her. They would be the ones to kill each other. It feels kind of like that fated when she says like, why is it my arrow out of all arrows? That's why I really like the whole like reincarnation and like history repeating itself and the whole thing. I love that. I don't know if it's similar to, I don't know if you've read Furyborn, but I know like the synopsis of it is kind of like, it takes place with the past and present, and it talks about two queens. And for me, it gives me that whole vibe of like history repeating itself and kind of like that. I know me and my mom were talking about it the other day, and we really want to read that because it just gives me that whole vibe.
I have to check that out. Give me 5 seconds. I'm just gonna let my cat out because he's going nuts.
Yeah, I do really like their relationship. Val is a very complex character. I think at first I just kind of full on hated her, but I did understand that she had to do what she had to do to keep her and his sister alive, like her sister then. So I understand why she was the way she was. But for me, after kind of like killing the Phoenix, I felt like that was more, there was more reasoning to that than just her shifting from a kid to this person who kills to get what she wants to survive. And I felt like when she killed the Phoenix, it was more out of jealousy, and I felt like she was just being bad instead of more complexity to it. But after we find out that she's a Valkyra, it made more sense. She is more complex than we know. So definitely. Did we find out who Nick's father is? Because that could be really interesting. Who's Nick? I'm so bad at this.
The boy version of Veronica. Like that's the name she used when she was at the thing.
Okay. So Feronia's boy toy, basically. I don't know.
Who's the baby daddy?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they said if Feronia was involved with anyone, because we didn't really get Feronia's side of the story. We always got Veronica's side of the story. Like through her letters and stuff, it's always about Veronica, nothing about Feronia. So no, I don't think we have found out about it. I mean, if Feronia was human and not an animage, I don't think she was an animage. So that means her father would have been an animage, so that Veronica would get her powers. Yeah.
I hope this like comes towards like the start of the book, because it was bothering me. I was like, but who's the dad? I need to know.
I know. I am going to be reading this in 2 weeks' time, like at the end of September, because I usually just do that before the live shows, so it's like fresh. That's why I won't say like who's Nick, because I would remember. Yeah, he was. Also, when he says Commander Cassian, I'm like, ooh, Cassian. But it's not remotely close. Not even remotely close. So good. Yeah, I think he does. I was surprised. I felt like this whole Blood War thing, like in my head every time, it took place like 1,000 years ago, when in reality it's like 18 years ago. Like, because normally when we have a war of some sort, it's always like, oh, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. But this one was just like 18 years ago, which is so close. So I think like, oh, everyone who was at that time has died. So we don't really know. But in reality, we know. Yeah, he probably would know. I wish Trix didn't die, because I feel like she would have been a badass Phoenix Rider. Because obviously she did lose her Phoenix, but if she were to join them and maybe bond with another one, I thought she would be a great addition to it. And also we at least have Trix kind of mentoring Veronica as well, yeah? Because she doesn't really have anyone except Tristan now.
Yeah. Exactly. And I also loved that she was like a spy. I loved that. I was like, that was so cool.
Yeah. And was it Shadowfire, I think? I think her last name was Shadowfire. That's a badass name. Either way, Shadow anything.
Yeah, Shadow anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. She could be resurrected, but I feel like I don't think that'll happen. Or maybe it might, because Cade, I don't think he's dead. Maybe he would get her body and everything.
Especially if they burned the bodies.
Yeah.
It's just a big massacre. So if they like put them all on a pyre and just lit them up, maybe.
See, I was literally just thinking about this. I think they get resurrected only if they die along with their Phoenix. I could be wrong. That's why I'm like, okay. So if the Valkyra was resurrected, that means her Phoenix did die then. Because he would have flamed out and then burned. I just have to check 1 second. Because I know she writes a whole letter at the back explaining it.
Also, side note, your top is really cool. I love it.
It's my pajamas. Yeah, it's my pajamas. I was like, oh, this can pass as a normal shirt. So here I am.
I'm in my granddad like dressing gowns.
Yeah. I wish I had that. I mean, it's not that cold, so I wouldn't need it. But if it's cold, I would. Yeah, it seems like her Phoenix kind of flamed out. Fire of my bondmate leaked across my skin, scorching my flesh. I died too, but that was not the end. It was the beginning. So I think her Phoenix died. So maybe that Phoenix that has been alive all this time is not her Phoenix. But I feel like it's an ancient Phoenix that I feel like will bond with her later on. I know it's not back here. It says like, oh, the Phoenix has never been seen again or something. I know they told a story where someone's Phoenix was never seen again after they died. But I don't know which one. But I know there was a story in there somewhere where someone was saying like, oh, this Phoenix Rider, she died, but then her Phoenix kind of like was lost to the world. Yeah, I know. Oh, it could be like one of the riders' Phoenix. It could be. I really hope we find all this out in the second book.
Same.
My mom did say the second book is a bit slower. I know Abby has read it. Abby, if you're still here, let us know, because I know you're currently reading it. Let us know what you think of the second book. But I know she said that it was more slower going, and I'm guessing it's because with the whole all-out war has broken out now. So because obviously the Phoenix Riders have been found out. So I feel like in the second book, there's a lot of like war strategy and like war No, maybe not all out war. Maybe a lot of like war strategy and training, and with all that phoenix eggs, maybe they'll find like different animages to come and bond with the eggs. I don't really know where else it can go from that except, all out war.
Yeah.
But I guess there's 3 sides really. There's a Valkyria versus everyone. A Valkyria versus the Phoenix Riders versus the council people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Has she finished it already? I'm such a bad friend. But yeah, I feel like the second one is going to be like that whole strategy kind of book. And then the third book would be the whole war. At least I feel like it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, it could surprise me again. I mean, this book surprised me.
100%. I'm so glad you picked this one. So glad.
Well, yeah, because I think this and Daughter of Smoke and Bone were like very neck and neck, and then I think this one won. So
I voted for Daughter of Smoke and Bone as well because I've read the first one, and I'm like, yeah, it'll give me a chance to finish a series. And then this one got picked, and I read about it, and I was like, oh, this sounds really good, and the cover is gorgeous, so I got it.
Yeah,
and then no regrets.
Yeah, exactly. Because I wanted to read Daughter of Smoke and Bone as well because my mom's been pushing me to read it because she absolutely loves Laini Taylor, so she wanted me to read it.
Mom.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's not me. I just put out the choices, and all of you voted. So good job on all of you. I don't even vote for them, by the way. Like I let you guys vote. I just give you the options. I don't vote. But you guys picked a great one for the last series, which is the Daevabad trilogy, one of my absolute favorites now. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens with this one. I don't know if it'll be an absolute favorite unless like something drastic happens, or like I'm absolutely in love with the characters. But it probably will be like a really good YA series from where this is headed.
Yeah. 100%. Can we go back because I'm really interested in what you meant when, like, about the weirdness between Veronica and Tristan.
So I feel like not weirdness per se. So obviously it's Nick, right? Tristan thinks he's a boy. So obviously we can feel like that romantic tension between them, even Nick as a boy. So I feel like is Tristan attracted to Nick, or does he just think that Nick is a good friend? You know what I mean? Because you can still feel that romantic tension between them. So he's like, does he have feelings for a boy, or is he just kind of just being really good friends? I was kind of not weirded, just confused a little bit.
Yeah.
At that.
Yeah, I wondered that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like the same thing. I was like, you can feel the tension, like the romantic tension, and does Tristan like Nick? Like obviously personality, yes, but because he thinks she's a boy, or did he just fall in love with her personality and it doesn't matter, and he's more like hand to put a label on it? But I was just like I kind of liked that it wasn't mentioned, like there wasn't like a thing, because you know how in a lot of YA, like they're like, oh, I like a boy. Oh, what is this? Like, I love that. Yeah, I love that it was just like there was romantic tension.
Yeah, at that time, at that moment. So that's what happened. So I definitely like once that kind of like settled in, I'm like, that's cool. I'm not weirded out anymore. You know, and then obviously she gets outed by her sister. And I really, really like how Tristan didn't make a big deal out of it. That was like my favorite thing. Because obviously, like these YA characters like blow things out of proportion, make it dramatic. Like I love dramaticness. Like I love it. But that would have been unnecessary because we saw that their friendship was really, really tight and really, really close. And they trusted each other with their lives. So if it went in that direction where Tristan blowed up and was like, oh, I'm not trusting you anymore, that would have been really, really disappointing. But I really, really appreciated how he was like, look, we're in a war. Let me just settle this, but we're good. Let's just go and fight, you know?
Yeah.
I really love that.
Same.
I really did. That was really, really good. And because of that, I kind of feel and hope that they just remain friends instead of romantically involved.
I want the romance to be with Sev and Cade, and
Yeah.
then Nick
Really.
and Tristan to just be friends.
Yeah. That's how
for.
I feel, but this is a YA. There's bound to be like all
Not
the
everyone
wrong.
needs to be coupled up.
Exactly. I mean, unless it's a Sarah J. Maas book, then go for it. Like, that's what we expect. But with this, it's different. I prefer Tristan and Veronica to be friends. But I prefer
I'm not the only one who thought that.
To mate.
Yes.
I want them to be bonded and mated and have cute babies together.
And they've sort of already started it because like they're like made friends and like they didn't leave each other's side, and I was like, that's really cute. And like, yeah, in my head I was like, I want them to bond, and then I was like, but I don't want them, like I don't want Nick and Tristan to bond.
We don't want the humans to bond. We want the humans to bond. Yeah, I think it'd be really good. Yeah, I love that. I mean, if they have a romance, it's not disappointing. It's just that I think there's so much more potential in friendship instead of romantic relationship. But Cade and Sev, yeah, give it to me. Give it to me right now. I want it.
Yeah. I ship that hard.
Yeah. This, like, he handled it very mature, which is unheard of. At least for me, what I've read in a YA book, like, unheard of. They always, like, be so dramatic and angsty and blow it out of proportion. Like, this person. And because this person and they added themselves, it's like, oh, I'm actually a girl. You can be like, oh, I get it. I mean, I'm like, I'm sad that you didn't trust me, but that was one thing. She had the chance to tell him and she didn't. And I didn't like that because she trusted him. And we all know you can trust Tristan. So why didn't she tell him then in the first place? So I remember Abby was telling me when she was reading it, she didn't like the miscommunication trope in this. I was wondering as I was reading it, where is it? And that little part when she held back of her being a girl, I think that was the thing that she was talking about. And that was the thing I didn't like as well.
Yeah, I think I actually told my book. So I was like, why didn't you do that? Why? That's your end right there.
Yeah. I think that was the same because I was saying I was reading finishing Blood and Honey today, and that was like my main problem with the whole book. They weren't telling each other shit all, and I hated it so much.
Yep. Just one conversation. One conversation.
Not even one conversation. Just as they're talking about it, and she's like, oh, it's nothing. Like, just just say it. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Have you read Serpent and Dove? Read Serpent and Dove, and then probably don't continue.
Okay.
Yeah, me too, Ariel. I really hate that. And that was like my main problem with Blood and Honey. Because of that, I literally did not care for any of the characters. However, the plot and like the whole magic world was really interesting. So I am going to continue, but begrudgingly. Begrudgingly.
Has your mom read it?
Oh yeah, she just said it was okay. She likes Serpent and Dove, but she just thought Blood and Honey and God and Monsters were okay. I'm sorry, Ariel. That's fair. I gave it a 3 stars. I still liked it, but I just wasn't vibing with any of the characters. Like, there was a character death, and that was like one of the characters that I actually like. Did not care. Didn't care whatsoever. I was like, oh, I knew this was coming. So thank you, Anita, for joining us.
Thanks, Anita. So nice to meet you.
Yeah. I'm still going to continue just because of the reveals about like the world and the magic. I'm interested in that. So yeah. And there was a bit of like character motivation consistency. And I feel like they were all except one of the characters. He had like a reason to be very angsty. But the other main character she kind of changed out of nowhere. Yeah. Claude, he was great. He was my favorite character.
If I ever write like a fantasy book, I'm just going to send it to you and be like, can you look for inconsistencies and all of the other things?
The only reason why now I realize there are inconsistency is because of the David Bond trilogy. Because that was so bloody consistent that I was like, oh, now I know what consistency is and character motivations look like, based on their characterizations. Now I'm just like, yep, I see it through all your bullshit there. I'm not doing it. Yeah. Yeah, there's a random circus in this traveling circus in Blood and Honey. What a weird book, but also it was okay. It was good.
It is on my TBR.
I definitely highly recommend Serpent and Dove because that was a blast. The characters in Serpent and Dove were my absolute favorite. They were so fun and so angsty, so dramatic. But this one, it was kind of angsty and dramatic, at least for me, for no reason. Because of the miscommunication thing, it was just there to be there. And I didn't like it. Any last words about Crown of Feathers? Read it.
Yeah. Read it.
It's so really good, and it was very, very surprisingly good. So
don't mind the colored in bit. This is why I can't have nice things. Don't get a 2-year-old, folks.
And the sequel to The Beautiful. I actually DNF'd The Beautiful. I did not like the writing style. I didn't like it. So I did not read The Beautiful. My mom did. She liked The Damned better than The Beautiful.
I don't read it.
So you don't like
either of those either.
Yeah.
I don't read it.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. I will actually put up because after this we only have November and December left to read. So I am going to put up a poll on the Discord for duologies. All of you guys in the Discord gave me recommendations. I put them in a random generator and it spit out 4. So I'm going to put those 4 on a poll in Discord. If you want to join the Discord, it'll be linked. Come join us. Obviously, we have a good time talking about everything about books. So I'll put that poll up after this live show. Go vote. And we will reconvene, I think, on the 2nd of October. Same time, same place, same lovely co-host. Please check out Lana's channel. As you can see, she is brilliant. She's lovely. Go check her out. We'll reconvene here for the second book, Heart Up Flames, on the 2nd of October. As I said, I'll put out an announcement and everything. So don't worry. You will know when the live show's coming. So thank you to everyone who has watched the live show. Thank you for discussing with us. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.